We're on the air.
102.7.
Well, party's starting early today, isn't it?
You have clearance, Clarence.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to
Live at 5.
It's Live at 5, and it's brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree, FWHlegal.com. And now, your host for Live at 5, Stephen A. Turner.
What's up, and welcome to Live at 5, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree, dedicated to you, committed to justice. That's FWHlegal.com. Stephen A. Turner, joined by Coach Vic Evans.
How's it going, man?
Oh, we're live from the Floor Concept Studios. I'm back from the British Open.
How was it drinking a little champagne out of the claret jug? That's what I want to know.
It was good. It was delicious. I mean, you taste of victory, which I'm not used to with my sports teams. But be sure and download the Owensboro Radio app. You can listen to this nonsense anywhere in the world. Follow along 102.7 The Game, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Kicking it text line wide open throughout the program, 270-903-0389. Football previews roll on. You guys had Coach Daming yesterday from South Spencer. We've got Southern Indiana covered, and now we're rolling in to Kentucky, and we'll kick those off with the Muhlenberg County Mustangs and the Edmonson County Wildcats a little bit later on. We'll have a little bit of running back talk. A Saquon signed today to close out the show. We'll talk about that, but it's Tuesday, every other Tuesday. You know what that means. It's Let's Talk Racing Night, 102.7 The Game, WBO, live from Ernesto's, and on the Green River Area Federal Credit Union hotline, we got Blake Smith.
Hey, guys, how we doing?
Doing great. And talking about what a great time to have Let's Talk Racing, because it was a huge racing weekend, Blake.
That it was, both locally, regionally, and nationally. A great weekend of racing, anywhere from NASCAR to IndyCar to F1 to your local tracks. We've got a lot to talk about tonight on Let's Talk Racing.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. In the Music City Grand Prix, you have a big interview lined up for the show tonight, correct?
Yeah, we've got Jason Rittenberry, the president of the Music City Grand Prix. He's going to join us here this afternoon on Let's Talk Racing. Got a lot of great things to talk about there. Can you believe we're just, about a week or two away from that race? A big weekend coming up, August 4th through the 6th.
I was looking at it. We were, requesting some tickets down there, through our IndyCar affiliate, and they were like, yeah, we'll get you tickets. And they just emailed me back and said, we don't know if we're going to have any tickets. So evidently it's going to be a monster crowd down there in Nashville.
It is. Any weekend in Nashville is busy, and then you put on some big weekend of racing there, and then Music City is going to be the destination to be at next weekend.
I think what they ought to do is take a couple of those bridal parties and stick them in the cars after they've been on the streets for a while and see how that goes.
Oh, boy.
That would be entertaining for sure.
Man, I tell you what, and how's the local scene coming along, man? Everything's pumping out pretty good. I know the weather hasn't been very kind to us here in July. It's like the wettest July in history, but how's the local racing scene going?
It has been wet, but we got some racing in this past weekend at Windy Hollow Dragway. We got some in at Western Kentucky Speedway in Nebo. Rockport got some in on Thursday and Friday. We got Nick Brooks, our throwback brand driver of the week, who swept the weekend on go-karts. He's going to join us tonight on Let's Talk Racing and talk about that event. And I tell you what, it's been a busy weekend of racing. We got another one upcoming this week.
Blake, I've got to ask you just because, we got some people that tweeted out to 102.7 The Game talking about their IndyCar affiliate. But how excited are you that coming up when they go to Indy, that the Xfinity race and the NASCAR race will be right here on 102.7 The Game?
That's great. That's a great opportunity we have with the IMS Radio Network to carry those Indy races for the Xfinity and Cup Series, and I think they're going to put on a good show. Rumor is this could be the last season you will see Xfinity and NASCAR on the road course. They are going to be doing a test on the Monday following the Brickyard back on the oval with this new car, so maybe heading back to the big track at Indianapolis.
Don't they really? I mean, listen, if you're going to go to Indy with NASCAR, don't you have to race on the Brickyard?
It was all, I tell you what, it was a spectacle. It was great, but my goodness, Vic, it was boring to watch.
It sure was.
But that is a great, with this car,
I will say that is a great road course up there in Indy. It's an exciting road course.
It is a great road course. They're in the infield of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. IndyCar puts on a great show there. Even NASCAR's put on a great show the last couple of years, but hopefully they can get this new car lined out. I think they're headed in the right direction with some aero package stuff. And I think maybe a return to the big track in Indianapolis will be right around the corner.
Well, NASCAR certainly in the headlines, Blake, and I know I wasn't here yesterday to talk about it, but, this Denny versus Kyle situation, whose side are you on? And, I went back and watched it a few times to try to take a side. I'm really not a huge fan of either guy, but who's in the right and who's in the wrong here?
Denny Hamlin is in the wrong. He won't tell you that, but he is. It's just one of many victims Hamlin's had over the last couple of seasons, putting them up in the wall. But I think you see a motivated and excited Kyle Larson, and that's not good for the other 35 drivers on the track.
He's 100% right. Denny's absolutely in the wrong and absolutely put. Now, I'm not saying
Hold on.
I would not say.
Are we racing the win, or are we racing the race people clean?
Listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't done it because I'm racing for the win.
Right.
But he legit put him up in the wall, and that's why I like F1. They don't do stuff like that. We have gentlemen's agreement to give everybody room.
And if you're going to, let's be honest, Pocono is one of the widest tracks on the circuit. You can go 7 wide down the straightaway, but let's be honest, I'm not a big, it's whatever. It comes down to the win, but it comes down to the fact that Denny Hamlin doesn't claim ownership to anything. So there you go.
Yeah, I would have much rather if he just came out and said, well, of course I put him in the wall. I wanted to win.
Yeah,
right.
At the end of the day, though, this is good for NASCAR, no matter how you slice it, because it's controversy. It's two guys creating a rivalry, and people want to see that. It sells. And it's kind of a thing we always talk about NASCAR getting back to its roots. And I'm all for Hamlin running him all over the track if it means getting the win. If Dale Earnhardt had done that, he would have been celebrated. What a move by the Intimidator, right? But nobody else seems to be able to get away with it. You have Kyle Larson all whining and running him into the wall on a caution. But at the end of the day, the winner are the NASCAR fans, because that creates excitement, and that's exactly what you want at the end of the day. That little interaction during the caution flag, Blake, was more exciting than the whole season of F1. So we do have that going for NASCAR.
Yeah, Vic and I talked about the F1 race yesterday at the station, and it sounded like Verstappen put on a clinic again. I think he said it was like a 37-second something advantage over the second-place car. So, yeah, F1 – still just can't get into it.
I do have to ask you, right or wrong, shouldn't NASCAR have dropped the yellow flag and put out a caution before Hamlin got there and had another restart?
You had that incident happen all day long when the 14 car, or the 41, whichever one it was there at the end, got crossways and stuck at the bottom of the track, and NASCAR threw caution for that all day long. And then on the last one with, time winding down, the TV timer coming close to an end on NBC, we're not going to throw a yellow for that one. We'll keep them rolling.
Yeah, you have to get the champion. You got to get the winner crowned on NBC. Right. You can't send it over to another station.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Blake, man, thank you so much. I know it's a busy day for you. I had to get you on the hotline. You're so busy. But tell the folks what they can expect. Come over there to Ernesto's and join you here in a bit.
Come over to Ernesto's. We're going to have a great special tonight. They got 10 tacos, $12. You got $2 margaritas, ice cold draft beer. We've got a lot of racing to talk about. Like I said, Nick Brooks is going to join us, talk about his go-kart weekend. We've got Jason Rittenberry talking about the Nashville Grand Prix. Paul Dornberg is going to talk about the SCCA. Our usual group of Windy Hollow Dragway and Speedway folks are going to be there. It's going to be a great show, and come out and join us on the patio.
And I completely forgot. I was going to touch on this earlier, but, man, that Rockport oval over there is rocking, man. Tell the folks out there, what's going on over there in Rockport that may not be aware. I feel like that thing's blowing up over there.
It is, about every other week. There's not really a set schedule, so you need to follow Rockport Raceway 2023 on Facebook. But, they come out there to do a midweek show. It has 3 classes. It includes true box stock go-karts. They also have what we call juice box for the little kids out there to race, kind of like your yard cart type deal. And then we also have the Mad Dog flat track motorcycles. They put on a great show. And, the best deal about it, midweek, you don't have a lot going on, usually on a Wednesday or Thursday night. $5 general admission to come out and watch. A great night of racing. Starts about 6:30, and I haven't been there past 9 all season. So it's a great show.
I do have to say, Blake, can you repeat that? You did say 10 tacos for $12 and $2 margaritas?
That's it. 10 tacos, $12, $2 margaritas, and the coldest beer in town.
10 tacos for $12 is a party. I know where we're going after Live at 5, Steve.
Man, Blake, you got that salesman down. Like, I'm ready for some tacos and margaritas. But, Blake, man, have fun tonight, and we'll talk to you again real soon, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it as always.
Appreciate it, man. That's Blake Smith. Let's Talk Racing. If you can't make it over there, be on WBIO 1027 The Game, 7 p.m. If you can. That's a pretty good deal.
It's not a bad deal right there.
Go over there and talk a little motorsports. So it's been a big, nice week for motorsports as we discussed. We'll do the Muhlenberg County Mustangs preview next with head football coach Josh Staples. You'll listen to Live at 5, 1027 The Game.
Local sports at its finest, Live at 5 with Stephen A. Turner and Vic Evans on 102.7 The Game.
Live at 5 brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, FWHlegal.com. It's time to head to the Green River Area Federal Credit Union hotline right now and get Muhlenberg County Mustang head football coach Josh Staples. Coach, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, welcome, man, and welcome to Live at 5. Football right around the corner. How's summer been going for you guys?
It's been great. First off, thank you guys for contact. We're excited, ready to get going. The kids have been working hard this summer, and it's that time of year again.
Yeah, I mean, right around the corner. It feels like we were just closing down the third region baseball, and then boom, next thing you know, we're right here 7-on-7s. Have you guys participated in any 7-on-7 so far this summer?
Yeah, we've had a couple teams come in, at different points throughout the weeks throughout the month of July. And, we actually just got back from our team football camp where we went to Campbellsville. So, we've jumped in both feet and had a pretty good summer so far.
Coach, coming off of last year, it was, a rougher year for you guys. What has, as far as practice, your camps, what are you liking about things that you're doing differently last year or where you've improved so far?
I think overall, chemistry has been it's been a big change this season with a lot of the guys. I've got a larger senior class than I had last year. I think we've got 13 seniors this year. And these guys just really enjoy playing with each other. They enjoy being in the weight room. They enjoy putting in the time in the workouts. But overall, just the culture in the locker room and the work ethic has been an extreme positive sign.
Yeah, Coach, while you 2-8 season, but you closed with winning 2 out of your last 3. Do you guys feel that momentum of the way you finished the season with a couple wins under your belt, carry that momentum into this season?
Yeah, of course. I mean, anytime that you want to finish the season strong, we were able to do that last year. Obviously, we want to put those wins, starting at game 1. But, we battled through a little bit of injuries and a couple other side issues. But the guys really did take the momentum of those last couple games and built towards it and really kind of used that as a catapult into jump-starting the off-season.
And looking at the offense this year, who are you looking to be your leaders on offense? When you need those yards, those tough yards, who are the guys right now that are standing out that you can lean on the offensive side of the football?
We have a few new guys this season. We've got one Aiden Bilbro is coming off an injury. He's coming off actually 2 straight seasons of ACL tears. Is a really explosive player for us. Aiden, he'll be playing a couple different positions. We'll move him around some. Hunter Baker is our leading rusher coming back from last season. He will probably either him or Aiden is battling for the quarterback position right now. Probably our most explosive player that we have is Gavin Karuba. Gavin played some limited time at running back last season. Hazy Armand is another senior that is very versatile. Can play out on the edge, can play a little bit of slot receiver for us, also some running back. And Luke Shelton, Eli Penley, these are all guys that, they really bought into the system and has really picked up in as far as fundamentals and improved over the course of this offseason.
Yeah, and Coach, you looking on paper, strength maybe an offensive line. I know there's some talent along there as well. Talk about those guys up front.
Yeah, up front, we do have Talon Carver is returning last year. I think Talon has actually been a three-year starter for us here. Travis Wells, we're looking for some big things from Travis. We've transitioned a former tight end by the name of Derek Dukes, who is probably our physically our strongest kid on the team, and has really jumped into the role of a lineman with about as much excitement as you could expect from someone. But we've got another senior, Christian Treadway, who is making another transition also. So we've had to move a few guys around this season because we're changing some of the things we do offensively, and just to fit more of the personnel that we have.
And before we let you jump in there, Vic, you said changing a little bit offensively. I mean, not to give too much away, but what can Mustang fans expect with the offense?
Well, we definitely have a handful of guys that we want to get touches to. We're still going to be a spread team. We're just trying to get the ball in space a little bit more than what we had in the previous season.
And let's jump to the other side of the ball. Defensively, who are the guys that you're going to be leaning on to help with lead that defense?
At the linebacker position, Caleb Duckett he's a little undersized, but led us in tackles last season. He will be one of our defensive leaders this season, an inside linebacker. Trevor Hardesty is a sophomore. He'll end up being one of our starting inside backers. Just a really hard-nosed kid that puts in work. And some of these names might overlap from the offensive side. Hunter Baker has had a really good offseason as an outside backer spot. And also, a couple of newcomers. Carson Murphy is really an extremely versatile player that can play inside backer or outside backer. We're basically a base 50 front, so we'll slant a bunch up, on the defensive front and try to take advantage. Jackson Brown is one of our D linemen that has is pretty explosive as far as his footwork is concerned, and is really improving with his hands.
And Coach, a little bit of difference in the district this year with some new teams added. Looking at the schedule, do you like the new teams added? Is it a better fit for you guys for the Muhlenberg County? And talk about your schedule a little bit.
Well, I think obviously, the biggest shock to us was, we did lose out on, one of our school rivals in Ohio County. We were able to keep them on the schedule. But it was a little difference not seeing Ohio County in district with us. But a lot of the teams that we play, we've played since the consolidation of the school. I know when we originally consolidated in 09-10 season, we were 6A, and of course we were in 6A with Apollo, with Marshall, with Graves. So a lot of these teams are previous district rivalries. But, it's just like we're kind of returning home, except this year in 5A.
Yeah, Coach, talk about a little bit of the out-of-district schedule. I know you got Caverna, you've got McLean County, you've got Edmondson, you just mentioned Ohio. Who is the other out-of-district game?
We open up with Caverna, McLean, Edmondson, Ohio, and then we finish the season out with Ballard Memorial.
Okay.
So a few teams that we have played over the past few seasons. Obviously, we keep McLean County, Ohio County, because, those are our schools that we, traditionally play every season, and they're really good gate games. And obviously, I love playing those guys. Our players love competing against them.
Yeah, you got to love those rivalries. I mean, it's kind of what makes Friday nights fun, right?
If you can't have Ohio County play Muhlenberg County in football, you really lose out.
Right, and McLean too, for that matter.
Yes.
But Coach, the scrimmages, you're coming up. I know the pads are going on. It's getting real now. So, looking ahead before the season, who you guys have on the schedule for these scrimmages?
We are going to do, kind of a jamboree style on our first scrimmage. Trigg County and Fulton County will be coming to Muhlenberg. And then our second scrimmage, we'll be traveling to Butler County. So, getting some work. And, anytime you see scrimmages, you're always excited, but you're always, a little cautious because, you hadn't everybody can look great in 7-on-7 and blocking dummies and form tackling dummies. So we're ready to get the pads on and see what our guys can do.
When people around the region think about Muhlenberg County, I mean, of course, it's, basketball. Here lately, the baseball team's been really good. But you guys got a good following in football, too. And, I mean, as far as facilities go, that stadium down there is unbelievable. Talk about the Mustang Faithful and the support that you get with the football team.
Listen, we have, our community is very supportive. Obviously, I played here. I graduated from Muhlenberg South. A lot of the local businesses and things I went to school with, and a lot of the guys. So as far as supportive, we couldn't really ask for more support. Our facilities here are great. The thing that I always stress here in Muhlenberg is, we have, such success with most of our programs here is getting that success and getting these guys into all these sports. I played as many sports as I could, and that's what I really stress to our guys. Hey, we're a rural community, and in rural communities, usually if you're successful in one sport, if those guys come out and play other sports, every sport's successful. It makes you a better athlete, makes you a better competitor.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you so much for giving us some time. Good luck going forward. And one last message to the Mustang Faithful out there listening today.
Last message is this: we're expecting, wild times on Friday night. We want to put the best product we can on the field, and above all, we want to do it the Mustang way. Love this county, love this football program, and I can't wait to see everybody on Friday night.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach. Good luck. If you need anything going forward, be sure and let us know.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. That's the head football coach of the Muhlenberg County Mustangs, Coach Josh Staples. We'll take a quick commercial break. We come back, we'll do a little ceiling floor for the Mustangs. We also have Edmonson County ceiling and floor. Talk a bit about the Wildcat season next here live at 5, 102.7 The Game.
And now, more Live at 5 with Stephen A. Turner and Vic Evans on 102.7 The Game.
Live at 5 brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree, FWHlegal.com. Stephen A. Turner, Vic Evans here in the Floor Concept Studios. Big thanks to the head football coach of the Mustangs, Josh Staples, for joining us in the prior segment. And I think one thing that stands out, it was kind of the Canyon Johnson situation. I mean, a lot of people out there they were unaware. Canyon put all the rumors to bed on Twitter, Vic. I mean, people were saying, he went to Madisonville, he couldn't get eligible, he went back to Muhlenberg. That was the word, right?
That was the word that everybody was hearing.
Everything you see on Twitter is true. But that one, I guess. That one wasn't true. So Canyon came out and said he is at Madisonville. That is a loss. I mean, make no mistake about it, Canyon Johnson was one of the better players in the area, not just for the Mustangs, but I'm talking like for the whole third region area that we cover. And
put up big numbers last year at the quarterback spot, both throwing and running.
Yeah, and I mean, now at Madisonville in the same district, so you get the Canyon Johnson Bowl at some point in the season in the big district game with Muhlenberg. And we don't have the schedule week by week in front of us, we can go through the out-of-district schedule and the in-district schedule and do a ceiling and a floor. I know they open with Caverna. Caverna does have a very good – I'm plugged in a little bit more to Caverna now that Steve Barker runs the show down there. I know they got a Division I level player on that roster, but it's just a 1A school. This is a game that Muhlenberg County desperately needs to win out of the gate if they're going to reach their ceiling.
It's a must-win.
It's
a must-win if they're going to reach their ceiling.
Then you get into the game. It's always a strange game. So I remember back when Hunter Football played for Muhlenberg County, they were the heavy favorites over McLean, but McLean would always play them well, sometimes beat them. And then sometimes McLean's heavily favored, but Muhlenberg always plays them well. It's one of those rivalry deals. So you can always expect a close game here. But I think even on a ceiling year, it's going to be tough. McLean County's going to be really good this year. No matter if it's good or bad for the Mustangs, this is going to be a tough one.
If Muhlenberg pulls this upset, then we're not talking about the ceiling. We're talking about, somewhere in outer space.
They're breaking through the ceiling, right?
I mean, they're not on top of the ceiling. They're somewhere, in the atmosphere. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and then Edmonson County is a team we'll take a look at here in a minute. And I got to be honest, we reached out to everyone in Edmonson County. No, I say that. There was a couple people, Kyle Pierce and company, I didn't get to reach out to, been traveling, but we did reach out to the voice. We did reach out to the coach. Did all we could do.
Didn't get answers back.
So I don't know a ton. I know a little bit based upon what I'm seeing coming back for this team. But on a ceiling year,
this is if it's going to be a ceiling year, right? It's a win for Muhlenberg.
I think you could chalk it up as a win. Now Ohio County had some departures. It's going to be it's another rivalry game outside the district, but if you're hitting your ceiling, it's a game they should probably win.
If like I said, if you're looking at the ceiling, that would be one that you would give them a victory in.
Yeah, and so then you got Ballard Memorial to close out the season, as we just heard from Coach Staples. That'll be the final week of the season. It's a team that they've had their way with in the past, so you chalk that up. I think even in a ceiling or a floor, I think this is a victory.
Yeah, I think so too. And if they go 4-1 in their non-district games, that would be what I think their ceiling would be.
Yeah,
going 4-1 in those non-district games.
I agree. A 4-1 non-district, because the district's kind of a gauntlet. I mean, I don't know that we know yet what we're going to get out of Apollo. I think we know it. We expect big things out of the Eagles, but you don't know. But I think Apollo, Owensboro, Madisonville, and Graves would all be uphill battles even in a ceiling year.
Correct. Yeah. For me, looking at it, it's very easy. The absolute ceiling for me, would you go 4-1 in non-district, and you go 1-4 in district play with a win probably over Marshall.
I agree.
And if you go 5-5, that's where I would have the ceiling. I think it'd be talking about a 3-game jump from last year after going 2-8. That'd be a nice year.
Yeah, 500 season would be a success. I think if you're Muhlenberg and you're looking at, hey, what's our route to the playoffs? I think it's beat Marshall and find a way to upset Apollo, or the Graves, Madisonville, OHS is going to be a mountain.
Yes,
but you upset Apollo, you beat Marshall, you get yourself a playoff berth. That's the path. But I don't even know. I think a 500 season is a fine goal to have for this program.
I think so, too.
Trying to get jump started, who's been upon some down years. A big thanks to Coach Staples for coming on board and giving us some time. Now let's take a look at Edmonson County. Coach Zach Vincent. We're bringing them in, Vic.
They're in.
We shut them out the last couple of years, and it's been kind of odd because they're in the third region in basketball and baseball, but we don't really talk about them any in football.
Well, you got it. One, they were a 3A school.
Right.
There were no other 3A schools in the region, and they weren't playing really other than Grayson. Didn't play a lot of the region, and so that was one of the reasons they were kind of left out. But now they're not only dropped down to 2A, they're dead smack in the middle of Owensboro Catholic's district, so you got to talk about them now.
Yeah, new district, Owensboro Catholic, Fort Campbell, Todd Central, just a 4-team district there in 2A division, District 2, I do believe it is. 3-8 season last year, losing to LCA in the first round of the playoffs. No shame in that defeat, but they did get wins over Caverna, Clinton County, and Breck last year. And I think when you talk about Edmonton, at least on paper, like I say, this is something we're looking at the results last year. We're looking at who produced last year. We're looking at who's gone and who's back. And that's kind of how we're scraping this preview together. But I think when you talk Edmonton County football, it's got to start with Michael Mills, a 1,000-yard rusher, 18 total touchdowns last year, 17 on the ground. He did have one receiving touchdown last year, Vic. But you talk about Lux high school fantasy football, Michael Mills is a name that's probably going to come off the board pretty early.
Yeah, I think he has to. I mean, with the numbers he put up, and it's more of a ground-based team, so he's going to get plenty of touches. And then not only that, he was also a leader for them on defense, too, at the linebacker spot. But I do think he's kind of he's going to be their bellwether cow.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the quarterback spot for Edmonton last year, and there's about 6 or 7 guys that threw multiple passes.
Yes.
So that it was like I don't know, they had just a different set. They bring in a different quarterback. So looking at that, though, Mills is probably one of the top guys that took snaps last year as well. So maybe he comes in as a rushing threat. We'll see what they end up deciding to go with. I know
he also led them in the pass attempts last year.
Right. So, I mean, that's the thing. So you put him in the running back category, but maybe he's under center as kind of a rushing quarterback. And like I say, that's why we like to get the coaches on or somebody more familiar so they can plug us into these things. But we're just purely speculating until week 1 till we find out how this thing's going to work out. On the defensive, I think offensive side of the ball, when you have a guy like Mills, when you look at their schedule, there's going to be an opportunity for him to carry the offense. I mean, he's going to have some help, make no mistake. But the defensive side's where I'm a little bit more concerned because they lost their top 2 tacklers. They lost their leading interception DB in Anderson. So Noah Meredith is the top returning tackler. He had about 60 tackles last year, number 3 tackler on the team. But they have a lot to replace, Vic, on that side of the football. And we'll see how that transition goes. Until then, we're kind of just in the dark on it.
Yeah, looking at their schedule, where would you set their floor and their ceiling?
Well, we'll just run through it really quick. All right, they kick it off with one of the biggest rivalries in Western Kentucky, the tobacco stick game. And, the basketball, I think it turned into – it was almost like a fist fight, right?
Yes.
That shows you the level of dislike these two programs have. The tobacco sticks on the line week 1 as they host Grayson to open the season. Grayson rolled them pretty good last year, 33-12. And I like Grayson a little bit. And Van Meter and Chaffins, and they've got some guys – it's going to be tough.
I think even in a ceiling year, it's going to be a tough game.
They don't want to hear that in Evanston,
I know.
especially against their rival. But I think any way you slice it, that's going to be tough. Now, Metcalfe County, they host them week 2. It was a 39-22 loss last year. This is a game they could flip, especially not having to go on the road. So I think in a ceiling year, I think you could say this is a winnable game. Right?
I think so also.
And then week 3, at Muhlenberg, they didn't play last year, but a very winnable game. If
in
you're
the
looking
ceiling
at a
year,
ceiling.
you're looking at a winnable game.
And then you roll into week 4 at Caverna. This is a game they won 48-12 last year. So you instantly put that in a ceiling year.
And if you can get off to a 3-1 start, look out.
Well, how about let's just keep going.
Okay.
Because if we're in a ceiling, they're sitting at 3-1, and all of a sudden Ohio County at home.
There's another you can win in a ceiling win.
You can win. Now you're 4-1. Then you're at Clinton County, who you beat 44-6 last year. You're looking at a 5-1 start potentially for Edmondson in a ceiling year.
In a ceiling year, yes.
And then at Fort Campbell,
that would be another win in a ceiling
year.
So
a 6-1 start and with a 1-0 record in district play, because Fort Campbell's a district win. Just think hypothetically. Now as we're running through this, we're putting them in a hypothetical 6-1. But just think if they found a way to. Those rivalry games can get sideways. Think about, there's the doors open. If you shock the Western Kentucky tobacco stick fans out there, you could be 7-0 at Owensboro Catholic.
Correct.
I'm thinking of my broadcasting future because I like to hype these things. A 7-0 Edmondson coming into Steel would be kind of fun.
And you'd still be coming in as a 28-point underdog.
Sure, absolutely. Even in a ceiling year, it's going to be a very tall mountain with Catholic. And they play Todd the next week. I think that would be a tall mountain too. And then they close with Breck, which is another possible win. So I could very easily see this team going 8-2.
I would set the ceiling at 7 because I do think
somewhere in there.
You're even on a ceiling year. Somewhere in there, there's going to be a game that maybe we thought you would win and you don't. Like you may upset Grayson but lose to somebody else. So I'm going to set my ceiling at 7-3. 1-2 in district play would be what my ceiling would be.
That's fair.
And then looking at the floor, maybe 3.
3. I would have their ceiling if they hit their absolute peak. I'll put them at 8-2. If they hit their floor, I'll put them at 3-7.
And I'm not sure you're going to find any of the teams out there that's got that big of a gap of 5 games in the floor and ceiling.
I think some of the gap comes in to just not knowing, not being plugged into them as much. We haven't really covered them. I mean,
no.
We covered them with the homers a little bit. They had some studs back then. They were a lot of fun to cover. I love our folks down in Grayson County or in Edmondson County, Grayson County too, at Litchfield or Morgantown or wherever they're at. But
I don't even want to ask you. Do you know what the county seat is in Edmondson County?
The what?
What's the big city?
Brownsville.
Okay, I didn't know. I mean, you can't get Litchfield right in Grayson. I didn't know.
I misspoke.
That's all you know, people. The tobacco stick fans, you out there, he knows Brownsville.
That's right.
And he thinks Morgantown's in Grayson County. That tells you where his heart is.
There's a difference between misspeaking, but no, go Edmondson week 1, right? I guess Grayson just add to the fuel to the fire. We'll have Grayson a little bit later this week with Sam Gormley as our football previews continue to roll around. Be sure and download the Owensboro Radio app. You'll never miss a football previews. We'll take you right into the regular season, previewing every single team in our area, hopefully with coaches or media personalities that come on and kind of steer us into some of these ones that we don't know as much about. We'll come back and wrap up the program next, live at 5, 102.7 The Game.
And now, more Live at 5 with Stephen A. Turner and Vic Evans on 102.7 The Game.
Live at 5, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree, FWHlegal.com. It's been a great show, man. Don't forget, Let's Talk Racing tonight, 7 o'clock, WBIO 102.7 The Game. As you heard from Blake in segment 1. Get over there, man. Taco deals, margaritas, drinks. It's a nice night for that.
10 tacos, $12. I know where I'm going.
Sounds like a pretty good deal. Also, big thanks to Coach Josh Staples for joining us to preview the Muhlenberg County Mustangs. We scraped together an Edmonson County preview. Vic, this thing's rolling right along as tomorrow we'll continue. The football preview is going to be a week full of them. I know we got Breck and Grayson on Thursday. We back down.
Probably going to have Ohio County tomorrow. Working on that as a phone call called in, yes.
And we'll look at Meade. We've reached out, but if we can't get a hold, Ohio County Meade is the plan for tomorrow with Grayson and Breck on Thursday. We won't do one Friday. We'll take a little break from the previews and come back and hit them again next week. Friday, we drew the draft order for the Lux Fantasy Football.
We did.
Right? Jalen, on the spot, picks Brady Atwell.
Yes.
And then Caleb comes on yesterday, and we threw that at him, and he said, I'm taking Sawyer Gilliam.
Yes.
And so that means, Vic, that you're on the clock.
I'm on the clock.
So you ready to make your pick live on the air?
I am not.
Oh, man, 'cause I'm picking fourth, and I'm kind of
I will say this. I'm down to about 3 players. I just haven't decided which one I'm going to take yet.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
I know the one guy that I want.
Do you?
I don't want you to take.
Okay. Who's that?
I can't tell you. It's going to cost.
So let me ask you this. I'll give you the players I'm thinking about. Will you tell me if he's in that list?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to. But who are you thinking about? We're doing this live on the air. It should be a lot of fun and looking to line these things out. Who am I thinking
about? You got Winstead there. Right. I think it's a great pick.
100%.
Trajan Davis right there, who I think is a great pick.
Absolutely.
So those are kind of where I'm leaning. Okay. But there's some others that I'm thinking about too.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing who it's going to be. I say I've got a guy. And then I've got Plan B, and my Plan B is just as it's just as good. So I feel pretty comfortable where I'm sitting here in the fourth spot, and then you got Mr. Cowan, and you got Bradley Payne behind me. Mm-hmm. So this thing will come together, and we'll what's a draft next Thursday, right?
August the 3rd.
So next
Thursday, a week from Thursday.
I need some more info. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to scrape together. I don't know what we're going to do about some of these guys that play multiple positions too, like Mills. We just talked about for Edmondson. I think everybody has him slotted as a running back, but for all we know, he could be taking the snaps all season long at quarterback, but playing that running back role.
Right, but you can take him as a running back. If he's had to play quarterback, then you can just move him there.
Transition him into that. It's something that'll be fluid throughout the season. It'll be a lot of fun. But we'll transition a little bit now into more of a national. How about a regional? We'll start there. Keyshawn Walker on the Indoor Football League, all rookie team, no surprises there.
No, right? Everywhere he goes, at every level he goes, he succeeds. All we now need is a USFL, an XFL, an NFL team to give him a shot.
You see this all the time in football, though, where a guy will be in those lower level leagues, and all of a sudden he kind of comes out of nowhere. I mean, there's a handful of guys that do that.
Well, if you
I think sometimes maybe the shorts and T-shirt game. Maybe it doesn't translate for some guys, but when the pads go on, when the whistles blow and you get between the lines, some dudes are just dogs. And Keyshawn Walker has dominated every level he's played. He dominated high school. He dominated at Campbellsville. Western missed the boat on him. Mm-hmm. I mean, just flat out. Are you going to tell me that Keyshawn Walker couldn't have been one of the best? Have you seen the DBs at Western Kentucky?
They only give up like 60 points a game.
I mean, you're going to tell me they missed the boat. Mm-hmm. So then he goes to Campbellsville and just completely dominates NAIA. Division II dominates.
Yeah,
Defensive player of the year.
Yeah, on some aspects. Right. I'll say this. He's also been a little unlucky. He comes out his senior year getting ready for the draft, pulls a hammy, so he was injured. Then, right there at the start of where he was playing in St. Louis or practicing with them.
Battlehawks, yeah.
The Battlehawks, they have the baby, and so there's some family stuff going on too. So sometimes it's also about being in the right spot at the right time, and it just hasn't happened for him. Not saying it won't, because I think somebody is going to get a darn good football player.
No doubt. God has a plan for him. I don't have a doubt about that, and he's got the talent to play. I'd like to see him in the XFL or the USFL and slowly climb that ladder to the top of the mountain, which is the NFL. And the big news this morning out of the NFL was that Saquon Barkley signs that 1 year,
franchise
$11 million deal. Yeah, he got the bonuses on top. And I think it's funny, the timing of it, because, all these running backs are getting together on these Zoom calls, and they're, like, trying to form this, like, united front. And then Saquon's like, united, that sounds fun, but I'm going to take the $11 million.
Well, and you saw Mike Fioria come out yesterday with NFL Pro Talk and was like, all running backs need to get together and all hold out.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that, because somebody's going to take their money and get paid. Not everybody's in the same financial boat here. I'm a little surprised. Like, Saquon, you look at it. Here's the thing. You can say what you want to say, but the collective bargaining agreement runs till 2030. And it's not like the NFLPA can really do anything, because in a salary cap league, even if you were going to try to go and go, okay, we got to get running backs more money, then you're taking it from your other guys who are also union members.
Right.
To get them more money. And it's just, it goes back to, this is not 1985, 88, 92. This is not I formation, give the ball to Emmitt Smith, to Walter Payton 40 times a game. Go back in the 80s and 90s and look what your left tackles were making, or look what your guards were making, compared to what your left tackle is making now. Like, there were no left tackles making $27 million a year, whatever the number one left tackle is making. Where's that money coming from? Well, it's coming from running backs, because they've shown that running backs, the supply way is much larger than the demand.
Yeah.
And just look at the Super Bowl winners.
And the production, that's the thing. The analytics have proven that, yards per carry, scenarios, those types of things. Like you said, Vic, you can go get a guy off a practice squad. They can come in and rush for 150 yards behind an elite level offensive line with some good play calling. But how many guys can you go pick off a practice squad to play left tackle for you and play it at a high level?
None.
Very few.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about elite level offensive linemen. I mean, they're very hard to come by. But running backs, analytically speaking, they're not hard to come by at all. Let's just say hypothetically that they do what Florio says. Let's say every running back that's currently in the National Football League said, we're holding out. We're not going to play until we get –
every XFL and USFL running back would be playing, and a lot of teams would be going five wide, and their fans would love it.
Well, not only that, but they wouldn't even have to go five wide, because they could go get guys from that league, and they would be productive. Mm-hmm. They would be productive. I don't know that you would really miss a beat. There's a handful of guys like Christian McCaffrey, like a Derrick Henry. There's a few guys that do transcend that, but they're few and very far between. I know Saquon, attributed for 80% or something like that of the offense last year for the Giants. But go put a younger practice squad guy in that spot, run the same similar offense, and I'm not so sure that the results are that much different. Wins and losses at the end of the day are what drives the boat. And like you said, you look at the Super Bowl model, and it just tells you don't pay running back.
No, I think I think I saw somewhere somebody had a graphic out, and I think it was the last 15 Super Bowl winners, what the base pay that they were paying their leading rusher for that team was less than $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to set a salary cap for just – so you're going to go through – because if you do it for running backs, you've got to do it for every position. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? Go through and set a cap floor for every running – how's that going to work? It's just not –
It's not going to work.
The bottom line is value is what people are willing to pay for it. I could walk up to you right now and show you a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card and tell you that it's worth $500. Beckett told me, the magazine – I'm going way back to the 90s – that baseball card's worth $200. But guess what? If I go all over the city of Owensboro trying to sell it for $200, the most I can get for it's $75.
It's worth $75.
It's worth $75. And at the end of the day, that's what the NFL GMs are doing. I just don't see any way the players win in this situation.
No, they don't. I'm curious to see, what Jacobs is going to do with the Raiders. He still hasn't signed his, his franchise tender. Now, Pollard, the one that was franchised for Dallas, he signed his immediately, and that goes back to the same thing. Like, Saquon had a little bit of room to play with because through his contract so far, he's collected $40 million. All right? Through Pollard's contract so far, I think it was something like 2.75, right, because he was a late round draft pick that signed for 4 years, basically for minimums. So when he got that payday for $10.1 million, he was all over it. Saquon, he had $40 million in the bank. If he's taking care of his money, he should be well off. So that just goes to show you, here's the guy that could have fought a little bit, held out, maybe skipped some games and missed some game checks because he had made $40 million in his career. But what did he do? He went ahead and signed.
You do what Le'Veon Bell did, and you become a ghost.
Yes.
I mean, literally, then you don't get the payday today. And I mean, the running backs are still going to get the payday. They're just not going to have the security.
Correct.
They're not going to give you the 5-year, $70 million with 50 guaranteed. It's going to be 1 year at a time. And I mean, that stinks for running backs because it is a position that's very violent and there's just not a lot of security there for running backs. I really don't know what the answer is.
And then their agents haven't helped them well either because a lot of these
Dalvin Cook's
lot of these AAVs that these running backs are trying to get to are not true AAVs because they put money on the back end that everybody knows that running back is never going to see, but it makes the AAV higher. And so now Saquon Barkley's sitting there comparing to an AAV for a guy that is an inflated AAV.
Absolutely. The agents are partially to blame in the situation. That's all the time we got for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Football previews. Don't forget Ohio County, Meade County tomorrow. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow live at 5.
You've been listening to Live at 5 on 102.7 The Game. Special thanks to Foreman Watson Hultree for sponsoring the preceding broadcast. FWHlegal.com. Tune in next time for Live at 5 on 102.7